Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. Today we're diving into 3 cases, 3 people who just vanished. No traces, no answers, just silence. And honestly, some of these stories are gonna keep you up at night. Let's start with Kathy. So it's September 24th, 1971. 16-year-old Kathy Marie Moulton is getting ready for what should have been a pretty normal evening. She's got a dance coming up that night in her hometown of Portland, Maine. Nothing crazy, just a regular Friday night kind of thing. Her dad drops her off on Cumberland Avenue earlier that day. Kathy's got a little errand list going. She needs pantyhose, some toothpaste, basic stuff. Later on, she swings by a music store on Forest Avenue to hang out with a friend. And here's the thing. She tells her friend, "I'll see you at the dance tonight." Then she says she's just gonna walk home. It's about 1.5 miles. No big deal, right? But she never makes it. She's last seen walking down Forest Avenue, carrying this brown leather Mexican clutch purse. Inside, her house key, 2 tubes of toothpaste, and barely any cash. That's it. And when dinner time rolls around and Kathy doesn't show up, her parents immediately know something is very, very wrong. They report her missing that same night. Now here's where it gets dark. Kathy was spotted in a stolen blue Cadillac with a guy named Lester Everett. Now, some people think she might have willingly gotten in the car with him. Maybe she knew him, maybe she trusted him. But what happened next? That tells a completely different story. A few weeks after she disappeared, witnesses placed Kathy, Lester, and another young man named Ronald Reed Purley in a remote area up in Aroostook County. And get this, they stopped at a garage in Fort Fairfield to get new tires on that Cadillac. The employee there, he remembered them, and he specifically remembered Ronald. Said Ronald seemed to be controlling Kathy's movements, like walking her to and from the bathroom with his hand on the back of her neck. That's not normal. That's not okay. That's a red flag the size of a building. They eventually end up working on a potato farm, McBride's Farm, up in the Mars Hill area. And Kathy? She is terrified. A teenage girl who worked on the same fields later told investigators everything. She said Kathy was nervous all the time. She cried a lot. She kept saying she wanted to go home. She was scared of the men working on that farm. And she begged Lester, constantly, to take her back to Portland. He refused every single time. So on September 29th, 1971, just 5 days after she disappeared, while all the other workers are sitting around a bonfire, Lester gets behind the wheel of that stolen Cadillac. Kathy's in the passenger seat. He tells her they're going for a ride. She begged him to take her home. He didn't. The next morning, Lester comes back alone. Tells everyone he dropped Kathy off at another camp. But that was a lie. What he actually did was drive her back across the Canadian border to the Tobique Reserve and left her there with Ronald. After the potato harvest ended, Lester took off to Florida to pick oranges. He never came back to Maine, and when investigators eventually tracked him down and questioned him, he just shrugged and said he didn't know what happened to Kathy. Lester died of cancer in the mid-1980s. He was only 35. Now Ronald is where this gets really, really disturbing. This guy has a criminal history. We're talking rape, home invasion. He's been a prime suspect in Kathy's case for decades, and when investigators reached out to him, he refused to cooperate. They even offered him immunity, full immunity from prosecution, if he would just tell them what happened to Kathy. He said nothing. Ronald's own family has refused to cooperate with police too. But here's the thing. Some of Ronald's relatives actually confirmed that Lester did drop Kathy off at their home. And then, in a chilling twist, they claimed that one of their own family members harmed her. Investigators believe Kathy died on the Tobique Reserve sometime before Thanksgiving of 1971. But they never had enough evidence to charge anyone. They couldn't even get a warrant to search Ronald's family home. Then in 1983, over a decade later, a hunter stumbled across a skeleton in the woods near Smyrna, Maine. It was surrounded by female clothing. Some investigators immediately thought, that's Kathy. But the hunter? He couldn't retrace his steps. He couldn't lead police back to the site. And those bones were never seen again. Just gone. Kathy was a junior at Deering High School. Everyone who knew her said she was happy. She had no reason to run away. Her father passed away in 2017, but her mother is still alive. And she's still hoping, after all these years, that someone, somewhere, will finally tell her what happened to her daughter.
Alright guys, let's move on. And I promise you, this next one is just as unsettling. Mary Virginia Carpenter, 21 years old, from Texarkana, Texas, and she vanished in the summer of 1948. Here's how it all went down. It's June 1st, 1948, a Tuesday evening. Mary leaves her home in Texarkana and hops on a train to Denton, which is about 6 hours away. She's headed to Texas Women's University to complete a summer term. This isn't her first time there. She originally enrolled back in the 1945 to 1946 school year, but then she had to take a break. Her mom got sick, and Mary stepped up to help take care of her. She also needed to save some money, but now she's back. She's re-enrolled for the 1948 summer term. She's got a plan. She wants to train as a laboratory technician starting in the fall. She's got her whole future mapped out. When she gets to Denton, she hops in a cab. The driver, a guy named Edgar Ray Zachary, drives her over to Brackenridge Hall on campus. It's about 9 p.m. Mary gets out, hands Edgar a ticket for her trunk, and pays him $1 to go pick it up from the train station the next day. Then she walks toward the building. And that's where Edgar's story ends, because he says that before he drove off, he watched Mary approach 2 young men standing near a yellow convertible. He thinks it was a Pontiac. One guy was tall, the other was kind of stocky. Mary walked up to them like she knew them, like they were friends. Edgar figured it was no big deal and just drove away. Mary never checked into her dorm. She was never seen again. Now, some of Mary's ex-boyfriends came forward and said she had a tendency to get really infatuated with people, like, quickly. They speculated she might have just run off with someone. But her family? They shut that down immediately. Mary was incredibly close with her family. She would never just take off without saying a word. It wasn't in her character. Not even a little bit. Police started looking into her boyfriend at the time, a guy named Kenny Branham. Kenny passed polygraph tests. He was actually the one who reported Mary missing to her mother in the first place. And he flat out told investigators, Mary had no reason to run. No secret lover pulling her away. No jealous exes. Nothing. Kenny was clearly not the guy. So then police turned their attention back to Edgar, the cab driver. And oh man, this guy had a record. Petty crimes, a reputation for being abusive. In 1957, he was even charged with attempted rape, though that charge eventually got dropped after the victim asked authorities not to prosecute. Edgar's wife told police at the time that he'd been home with her from 10 p.m. onward on the night Mary disappeared. But here's the kicker. 10 years later, Edgar's wife went back to police and admitted she had lied. Edgar didn't actually get home until 2 or 3 in the morning that night. Edgar died in 1984. He was never charged in connection with Mary's case, but he remains a suspect to this day, even though he did pass 2 polygraph tests. Now there's one more layer to this story that makes it even more eerie. In the winter and spring of 1946, just 2 years before Mary disappeared, 5 people were murdered in what's known as Lover's Lane in Texarkana. This was a secluded area where couples would go to be alone. All 5 victims were young, around Mary's age. Police believed all the murders were committed by the same person, and that person was never caught. They called him the Texarkana Phantom Killer. And here's the thing that made investigators take a second look. Mary personally knew 3 of the Phantom Killer's victims. That's a hell of a coincidence, right? But police investigated the connection and found no solid evidence linking Mary's disappearance to the Phantom Killer's crimes. In 1998, Police got a tip. Someone said 2 men had raped and killed Mary shortly after she vanished and buried her body in a dam at a stock tank near the university campus. Both suspects were already dead by that point. Police investigated, but again, no evidence. Decades of leads, decades of tips, and still nothing concrete. Both of Mary's parents have passed away. She was an only child, but she has 3 cousins who are still out there, still hoping that one day they'll finally get answers. Asterisk, that's it for today, guys. 3 people, 3 mysteries, and honestly, 0 real answers for any of them. If you made it this far, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we've got way more cases like these coming. Drop a comment below and tell me which case hit you the hardest. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Asterisk.